This is my workstation, and I'm going to share with you all the things that I use on a daily basis and how I increase my productivity by having a workstation like this. They say by having stickers and RGBs increase your productivity by 400%. So that's what I did. I've included RGBs not only on my computer but also on my desk as well as my keyboard. So being a desk, let's start with the desk. The desk is by New Movement. It's a fairly new brand. I think they're developing their brand and going to expand overseas eventually. Everything you buy, it's customizable. At the time of purchase, you pick your legs, you pick the color, you pick the surface material, you pick the accessories, everything that you want, including the RGB lights. And obviously the size and the width is all customizable. And that's what I really like about the whole buying process. I was able to pick the ones that I really liked. I've decided to go through all white desk given the work environment I'm in. So white on white looks kind of clean. That's what I'm going for, a minimal design. Now white legs with wheels, so it makes it all mobile and nimble. Now when you're buying a lift desk, make sure you buy dual motors, right? If you buy a single motor, one leg tends to go higher than the other and you go out of balance really quickly. And it's not good for the motor and it's really bad experience. And sometimes it doesn't support enough weight as well. So something to keep in mind. Now this is obviously dual motors and it comes with a safety sensor. So if anything's out of whack or if we hit any vibrations, the motor will stop and the desk will revert to the original position just to keep everything safe. So I think that's a good feature. Now the surface itself, you can choose from marble, wood. Now I've chosen an Hermes orange, something different, really out there. It's really good when I take shots from above, product shots as well. The quality is super good. It's waterproof and it's scratch proof. So you don't have to baby it, you're not worried about, scratching the surface or anything like that. It's really rock solid, but that makes it really, really heavy. So definitely get some cast wheels underneath to help you move around, and that comes all in the box as well. Now speaking of which, I'm really OCD about the wires and how you wire your setup, and to have a clean setup, it comes with a hiding tray at the back of the desk, so you can hide all your wires at the back and then plug it into a power point that's supplied with the desk as well. So you just mount it underneath the desk, so everything goes into that power point, and all you have to do is just power that one power point, which you've seen down there. Right? Makes it really nimble to move around and adjust and keeps everything real clean. And the other features that I opt in for is a wireless charger. It's really clean. Sometimes you actually don't know where it is, but there is a wireless charger for my iPhone to be placed on top. So when I'm working, I can charge my phone on the side. That's kind of a cool feature. I've also purchased a PC stand on the side as well that you mount underneath the table. So the whole setup moves with me, right? I can actually have this desk anywhere I want, including the computer and the monitor. Now the table goes up fairly high. It goes up to over 1 meter in length, so you're very comfortable in standing up and sitting down. Now there's also a height memory, so there's 2 settings you can set for yourself or someone else, which is pretty cool. But let's talk about the RGB. The lights are inbuilt inside the desk, so it's waterproof, scratch proof, nothing to worry about. Especially at night, it looks super epic. Now you control the light through your Bluetooth via an app on your phone, and you can set so many different settings. The patterns, the colors, and the variation is limitless. I like to do the rainbow one. It's just kind of cool. Now the RGB also reacts to the music in the room. So depending on what you play, you can turn that on. Now I know you can buy, I think Philips Hues that people buy that you can stick on the back of the TV that kind of reflects that. This does the same. Right? So that's really cool. Okay, now moving up to the monitor, I've got an AOC monitor, so nothing over the top, nothing special, but it's a 34-inch widescreen. I like to do a lot of editing, so a widescreen is definitely important in terms of productivity. In terms of color accuracy, it's saying it's 100% XRGB and 95% P3. I feel that it's a little bit shy of that. It's usable, but it's not 100% accurate. In terms of monitoring, I like to use my Apple XDR display. It's a lot more accurate. Now, if you want something really up there, I'll probably go for the LG or the BenQ. Those are pretty good monitors in terms of color accuracy. Now, in terms of monitor, I also need a PD charger or a Type-C, right? Just so that I can connect to my MacBook and charge at the same time. You save on HDMI as well as another power cord. So just really getting rid of those power cords and keeping it minimum is what I'm here for. Now, the monitor is being supported by a monitor stand. I'm not sure the brand of this. It's a fairly cheap monitor stand. I think it's only around 40 bucks. But it's able to support 8 kilos and it's 360 degrees. So it's really good. So it's able to adjust to different monitor angles, really helpful. Now, in terms of monitoring, I do not have speakers. That's because a lot of time I use my headphones or I use my Bose speakers just to play the sound. Sometimes I use my Audio Technica as well. This has been with me for about 7 or 8 years. It's a little bit ripped, but it served me so well and I found it so comfortable, so I've had it as a backup, so I just kind of leave it here. Now I also have a monitor stand. This is by Larrycare. It's also another brand. It's really cheap. It's full aluminium, so it's really solid. It's quite cold during winter, but I use it really just to have an extra space on my desk, and it looks good. And the other function is I can hide my keyboard and mouse when I'm not using, just so my table is fairly clean and I can shoot something if I needed to. Quality is really good. You can put your monitor on top. It does flex a little bit, but overall, this is good stuff. Now underneath I have a lamb wool mat as well, just so I put my keyboard and my mouse. The function is also to keep my hands kind of warm because the desk itself does get quite cold during winter, so that kind of helps, and also helps me slide everything under my monitor stand. So cosmetics, function, and pretty cheap. It's around $15. You know, a lot of good stuff for really cheap right now. Now, speaking of mouse and keyboard, I am using my Logitech MX3s. I've always used this. It's been my go-to mouse for productivity, so highly recommend it. I'm not gonna go into much details, but all my shortcuts are on my mouse. So I do my ripple deletes and my undos and my quick functions through my right hand, and I do all the editing through my left hand. In terms of the keyboard, you might be seeing, looks super cool. I love the color theme. This is by Equinix. I used to use King Chrome, the same one that MKBHD uses, the K1, K10, I've got them all. But I've switched to the Equinix. Look, I'm not a keyboard expert, but I just go for the feel and how it looks. And I think this looks super clean. Everything is see-through, so like the light lights up. It's using the TDC pink key switches. Here's how it sounds versus the King Chrome. Okay, so the King Chrome is using a brown switch, so you can kind of tell the difference. There's a bit more mechanic feel to the King Chrome, whereas this one is more of a soft kind of buttery touch. The only downside is that it doesn't have the extended strokes of the numpads that I use a lot. I use quite a lot during my worksheets, so that's unfortunate. But in terms of looks and feel, right now I'm kind of really digging this. In terms of color and functionality, well, they're both very similar, so compatible both PC as well as Mac OS. You're able to tag up to 3 different devices. There's a little bit more function on this one in terms of the patterns and the RGB effects. You can change not only the patterns but the brightness and the speed in which it appears. You can also change each color of the pattern itself. So a bit more function. So if that's something you're really into, that could be an option. It is a little bit more expensive than the King Chrome. This is around 800 RMB, which is around $150. Right? The King Chrome, I think you can get them for, in China, at least the one I have, is around $80, but the quality is really, really good. And of course, you get a lot of extra packages. Now let's talk about the chair. This is what I've been sitting on for the last 3 months. Now this is by Ergomax. I actually think this is really comfortable, but this chair is super expensive, so I don't know if it's justifiable. This chair is around $800. Yes, it is a lot cheaper than the Herman Miller, but I don't know. Look, it looks freaking baller. People come in, they're like, whoa, this costs just under $900. The color scheme, I love. It comes in a lot of different colors. I decided to go for the white and gray. That's kind of the color scheme. And in terms of functionality, the headrest is super comfortable. You know, there's 3-way adjustment. You can adjust the height, the length, the different angles, depends on how you sit. There's different levels of back and head support. And if you're lazy, you can lie back and have the stool kind of extend out and rest your legs while I raise my table and just kind of edit in a lazy mode stage. And it's really breathable. During summer, you don't get sweaty ass. The chair itself is quite heavy, solid alloy, and everything else is just perforated this material. And you can also adjust the resistance of your recline depending on your body weight, so you can actually have it really easy to just kind of recline down, or you want to have some kind of resistance. So, and I really like this chair, and it looks super pimp, right? You go into an office and people are like, whoa, that's some fancy chair. It must cost you an arm and leg. I'm like, yeah, it is, $800. But you know, people love it. That's the chair, right? Now let's talk about the computers. Right now I have 2 setups, dual systems. I have the Mac M1. If you want to see my review, go check it out. My 2 weeks review in depth of the M1. This is the Pro, not the Max. I don't think you need the Max. I do a lot of 4K editing in DaVinci, and this does perfectly fine. So this is the Pro version 16-inch. Now down here I also have a PC. This is the Intel 12 Gen i5 with the 3060 RTX right now running, 16 gigs of RAM, and this is DDR4, not DDR5. So I don't recommend having DDR5, it's just not bang for buck. All my editing are in 4K. We shoot on my Sony cameras, H.264, H.265, both in 24 as well as 60 frames. So smooth editing, multiple layers, DaVinci Resolve, perfectly fine. We usually use the 1080p timeline and then export into 4K. Now, if you want to see my editing breakdown and all that stuff, let me know. Now, it does slow down a bit if you add in some denoiser and some heavy effects like grain, etc. But overall, we turn those off while we edit, and then we'll turn it back on at the end of the export. So that's my workflow. And the PC is really cheap. I got this complete setup late last year in December for around just under $1,200. $1,200 US. I don't play a lot of games, but it does just fine. You don't need a fancy graphic card. 3060 with a lot of RAM is what you need for DaVinci, and that's what I prefer. You probably don't get as much of a bang for buck in return if you got a 370 Ti or a 380. You probably can't find it anyways. I got this graphics card for around $620. I don't know if that's cheap and expensive, but yeah, $620 for the 3060. So that's like nearly half of what this PC costs. I've also got an i9 coming in, and I can do the comparison if you want, but let me know. But apart from that, this is my desktop. If you want to see more of these kind of content, let me know. I want to bring you more tech that's happening right now in China that you might not be seeing, because I think a lot of influencers or YouTubers are really showcasing what they are sponsored, right? What I want to show you is there are good bang for buck alternatives out there to really help you choose your need and save a couple of bucks there, because I know you could be a student or you could be someone starting out, and money does matter to all of us. So this is what I want to do on my channel. If that's what you want to see as well, feel free to subscribe.